Our first guest today is a local hockey guru. He's a hockey scout. He runs a hockey camp. Hockey, IceDogs, color commentator. But more importantly, he's also an advocate for men's health issues, both mental health and physical health. And of course, we're familiar with his campaign, Check Yourself, Express Yourself. Ed Burkholder, great to see you. Welcome to the studio today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Now, OHL, we're going to just take 10 seconds, 15 seconds. They're
we can talk all you want.
Well, we want to talk about mental health, but February, were you happy to hear that announcement?
Yeah, I guess if it was between that and cancellation, I'm happy to hear it. I was hoping that it would start earlier, but you know, with so many unknown issues, it's kind of hard to nail it down to one date. So hopefully everything's going to work out and it's going to be a safe environment and everyone can have some fun.
Some controversy right now about body checking or no body checking. When will that be resolved?
You know, I don't know. As you know, Doug Ford came out with a tweet of his own that said, no, we are in fact talking about it. For me, it's not a logical argument. If there's 19 guys sitting beside each other on a bench, or if you and I are having a one-on-one battle for a puck, we're going to be close. So I don't know what body checking has to do with the safety in regards to the COVID. So I haven't really had anyone that's going to logically explain that to me. So I'm going to go with hopefully there's going to be body checking. You know, if anything, you're getting into a safety issue on the other side of that. You know, these guys play 40 games without body checking. Then all of a sudden next season, you're going to put them into an environment where there's body checking. It's a different game.
Very different game.
Right? So, you know, safety first. So hopefully it works out.
Let's talk about men's health issues. That's why we invited you here. We could talk hockey all day.
Sure.
But men's health issues, you've been a strong advocate for that over the years. Let's talk about your relationship with cancer itself.
When you have conversations with people, and when I go to talk to schools or hockey teams, the first thing I ask is, have you ever lost anyone to cancer? And I ask you that question right now. Anyone you love, have you lost?
The person I loved more than anybody on earth at the time, my mother, breast cancer.
Right. So
lung cancer, all over.
Yeah. So I was 21 years old when my father died of cancer. And then at 26, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. So, you know, you bring up breast cancer, and this is how I'd like to explain it. So when I had testicular cancer, it was 1996. And I ended up going through high-dose chemo. I lost all my hair. I was really sick. It was stage 2 embryonic carcinoma. There was a stigma there because, you know, I'd walk in a room and I'd have the do-rag on my head and I'd be walking with a cane. I was quite weak. And you know, you okay? What kind of cancer?
And this is an athlete. This is someone who had played hockey at a high level.
Sure, yeah. So, you know, someone says, well, what kind of cancer do you have? And you'd say testicular, and there'd be this uncomfortable, you know, feeling in the room. And it's, you know, it's one of those things. When we were growing up, we had a next door neighbor that was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was around 86 or so. We weren't allowed to talk about it.
Right.
We were allowed to ask her how she is.
Right.
But we weren't really allowed to talk about it. So, you know, now because it's become mainstream, you know, like the NHL, the NFL, NBA is all behind it, and they have the pink tape and the pink uniforms, and breast cancer, there's a lot of awareness there, which is great.
It's not the same for testicular cancer yet.
No, and I'd like to see testicular cancer get to that level, right? So even with Movember, a lot of people first will say prostate cancer.
Right.
Obviously important to check, but I really want testicular cancer to be in that same conversation. I'd like to see testicular cancer get the same attention as breast cancer, because now, you know, there's many people that their lives are being saved because of they know that, hey, I have to go for a mammogram, or I have to do this or that. So, you know, I get a lot of calls from guys saying, you know, I got a sore testicle.
Yeah.
Like, what should I do? Well, the first thing you need to do is go to the doctor and get it checked out. Now, I went 2 weeks where I felt pain, but I was too embarrassed because of where the pain is.
That's right.
Right? So the one thing, you know, I credit my mom with saving my life. This is why. Because she said, you need to go to a doctor and get that checked out. She said, now when you leave that doctor's office, make sure you get a referral for a urologist. Okay? At the time, I didn't know what urologist, I didn't even know what that was.
Right.
So I promised her. So I went to the doctor, and it was 2 doctors actually that checked me out the same day. And they came back in and said, it's normal. You have like a varicose vein wrapped around your left testicle. And so I said, okay, great. I was relieved. So I said, well, I'd like to get a referral to a urologist. They're like, no, we're not doing that. We just told you you're fine. So I put up a real fight, and I left there with a referral to a urologist. To make a long story short, I saw the urologist a week after that, and a week after that I was in surgery, and it had already spread to lymph nodes behind my abdominal wall. So the moral of the story here is that, sometimes nowadays you can't just say, okay, yeah, I'm fine when a doctor says that. You need to double check. You need to get tested. So that's what the top part of the check yourself is, that, people are aware that, okay, if I am feeling pain or discomfort with testicular cancer, it could be painful or it might not be painful.
Right.
You might not feel anything, but you should always check for lumps to make sure that everything's okay. And again, it's that stigma. You go and you talk to grade 12s and you say, okay, you have to check your testicles, and everyone giggles, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's important, just as important as women, that they go to get mammograms to make sure, okay, everything's good.
You also are an advocate for men's mental health. Mental health and cancer obviously go
Yeah.
hand in hand. Why mental health, and how did you develop this relationship with Michael Landsberg, who's been an advocate for men's mental health?
Well, actually, I met Michael doing Off the Record, and I did the show until the ending. I was actually on the last show ever. For me personally, the mental health issue is, I had someone that was very, very close to me that tried to commit suicide. And this is going back years ago, and I didn't find out about it until years later. So it's a really, really strong root. As I'm sure that when you think about your mom, or you think about, you smell some of her cooking or something that
Yes.
reminds you, it really strikes a chord. Well, this does. And I look at this person, who had a love for her husband, her children, everything, and she felt things were that bad that she wanted to end her life. So that really, really hit me hard. To this day, it really, really touches me. So when I see people or I hear of someone that's suffering in silence, it breaks my heart. So, when we grew up playing hockey and stuff, if I said to you, Mike, I'm feeling down today, chances are I'd be like, okay, buddy,
We're back to those body checks.
Toughen
I'd
up.
Probably body check you.
Yeah, let's toughen up here. So now we just want to get the climate, and I think it's changing, that, you and I can have a discussion about being down, or this is how I feel today, or, I'm not in a good
Yeah.
place today. And I think that's really, really important. And we're just trying to change it, that not only do we want to get people to share, because, over 21 million people have depression, half are telling anyone. Half. Right? Because of, well, you're going to think that I'm weak, or you're going to think that I'm crazy, or whatever the case is, the stigmas. But we need to get people that just to be able to reach out and say, I'm not feeling good today. And on the other side of it, we have to be aware. We have to be plugged in, that when we're sitting, you and I are friends, and I'm sitting beside you, we're going for coffee, and I say, Mike, what's going on? You don't seem yourself today.
Yeah.
Right? So to be that safe outlet, number one, that I'm aware, because a lot of people with depression think no one sees me, no one cares about me, I'm in this by myself. That's not the case. You have someone that loves you, you have someone that wants to listen, and I'm that guy. I want to be that guy.
Really quickly, what is Check Yourself, Express Yourself all about?
Well, Check Yourself, Express Yourself is something I started around 10 years ago. That strictly the check yourself is, the top part is the cancer related, the bottom part, express yourself, is the mental health, right? That we just want to get people talking, and we have t-shirts, we have hats, you can see the logo. I did the logo black and white because to me it's a black and white issue. No one should suffer in silence. So let's just talk about it, let's rely on each other, let's get through it together. And little by little, I feel we're really making a difference, and it's one person at a time. So we want you on our team. If you do a Instagram post or something that has anything to do with those topics, just throw the hashtag check yourself on it. You could follow the hashtag on Instagram, Twitter, and you can kind of see what we're up to.
Ed, thanks for being on our team today on The Source. We really appreciate you coming in to talk about these issues.
My pleasure, Mike.